Hello, my name is Holly and I live in North Idaho. I'm an enthusiastic knitter and horseback riding instructor, and I am here to share a little bit about my knitting life with you. Welcome! Today I am wearing my Lento sweater. This is one of my very favorite knits for myself that I have knit. If you have not knit the Lento sweater, you need to. You absolutely need to. It is a wonderful pattern. It is a loose gauge, so you can see that it's quite an open gauge. It knits up very quickly. I want to say this is done on size 10 needles, if I remember correctly. And it is kind of the nature of this fabric that you're creating that you want to carry this with a mohair. I'm very happy with my yarn choices for this. So the yarn that I picked as my base yarn is this Woolen Vine Venus Fly Trap. She is a hand dyer who has her own YouTube channel. She likes these very moody gothic colors, which I think is beautiful. So here's this lovely green. On the camera, it's looking a little brighter and a little less moody than it actually is. And then I paired it with the Farmer's Daughter. I believe this is their Mighty Mow. And this is a color called Evergreen. And then I put these two together for this sweater. And I think this turned out beautiful. What you can't really pick up on the camera is that the amount of silk shine from this Mighty Mow is really intense, and this sweater actually is quite glimmery. It just really is quite elegant. I very much like the fabric that this created, and it's warm because of the mohair. But I always do wear another shirt underneath it. So shiny and so beautiful. As far as the fabric that it's created, I really can't say enough things about the Lento by Jonna, I believe is how she says her name. It is just a neat pattern. It's definitely beginner friendly, but it has enough interest factor that any knitter would want to knit it, and it just creates a really cool staple in your wardrobe. And it makes it just a little bit fancier and a little bit nicer when you just pick out a really nice yarn to go with it. So one of the things about my life with knitting is that my knits would have to work pretty hard. I do wear them to the barn and in my horseback riding instructional life. This is namely because I really need those kinds of garments to help keep me warm. So to kind of give you an idea of how I look on the day-to-day and how I style and wear a lot of my knits, I'm going to be including in each episode some pictures of me wearing these knits out and about and in real life. So here's my Lento, and you can see me in my work garb, in my writing and lesson teaching outfits. And you can see that I typically do a lot of layering, and so it's not uncommon for me to have on my winter boots, my breeches, which are almost always fleece lined from October to April-ish. And then I've got wool socks, of course, underneath the winter boots. And then I'm usually wearing some sort of light wicking turtleneck or long sleeve, my wool vest or sweater or jumper, and then usually over the sweater or jumper I've got a vest. In the very cold weather it's a heated vest, and then I've got my coat, either my full-length trainer's coach coat or another shorter coat over top of the vest usually. And then I might also be wearing a hat and then possibly a scarf or a wrapped shawl or a cowl, and then obviously gloves as well. So it's not atypical for me to be wearing multiple knits at one time, and they do get a lot of work, as you can see. So I do have a finished object, but I can't share it with you right now because I'm waiting for pictures. I knitted a absolutely lovely shawl for my daughter's elopement. She eloped and they went to Scotland and had a beautiful photo session and small intimate ceremony. And of course it can get quite blustery out in Scotland. So I sent a nice pretty shawl for them to wrap up in between photos. But I am waiting for some photographs back from that to share with you. So I'll talk more about that on a different podcast. So I'm going to talk to you about some whips that I have going on because I have quite a few and I'm really excited about each one of them. The first one is a little bit of going out on a limb for me because I'm not really sure how much I'm liking it and I'm not 100% sure how it is turning out. So lest you think I only knit in green, I promise you I don't only knit in green. This is the Metamorphic by Andrea Mowry. It is obviously unblocked at this point in time. The body is finished. It hits me just below my natural waist, so it's slightly cropped, I want to say. The reason why I'm not 100% certain about this fabric is because I actually bought this yarn literally in the Spin Cycle shop. What town are they located in? They're north of Seattle. My daughter lives in that area. Anyway, we were in their shop and they had a sample knitted up. I hadn't really considered, I actually have, I keep covering up my mic, I'm sorry. I actually have this little bit of a problem where I look at patterns that are often viral or people are very interested in them, and I'm really not all that interested until I see them in person. And then I see it in person, I'm like, oh, I have to have one of those. And that happened with the Metamorphic. I really did not think, oh, I want a sweater like this. I don't really need a sweater like that. And then I saw one in person hanging in the Spin Cycle yarn shop, and I thought, I'm in love with this. So in their shop, this is the Farmer's Daughter's Gary Cooper colorway. And I've forgotten what the weight particularly of this one is. I can tell you in a minute. But and then the very subtle but lovely Spin Cycle yarn underneath is from their Nocturne line. And I think that's where I have a little bit of an issue going on. The Nocturne line, I think, is a smaller gauge yarn than what's recommended in the pattern. And when I was picking yarn in the Spin Cycle shop, I talked to one of the shop gals about using the Nocturne, and she's like, oh yeah, you should totally use the Nocturne. But what I didn't realize is that it was going to be a pretty significant weight difference between the Rambouillet content of the Farmer's Daughter and this smaller diameter weight Nocturne yarn. And so it's coming out with just a very inconsistent fabric. I'm hoping that that will block out. We'll see. Also, the colorway of the Spindrift is not maybe quite as, or the Spin Cycle is not maybe quite as prominent as I thought it might be. It's coming out pretty nicely on the camera, but it is just, it's smaller weight than the Rambouillet that I used. So I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do. So yeah, the Farmer's Daughter, here is that. It's the Pishkin yarn and the Gary Cooper. And then you can see right here, I mean, even when I picked this out, you can see right away that this Nocturne is, the weight is quite a bit smaller than this very puffy Rambouillet blend in the Pishkin. So I don't know. Obviously I just have the sleeves to go on this, and then I have blocking. I loved the pattern. I do love this detail of this slip stitch down the front and on the arms. The shaping for the back of the neck really lifts this neck up quite a bit, which I think is fabulous. I love the colors. So really, I think this is just going to come down to how are the inconsistencies going to block out. You can even see, I don't know if it shows up, but you can see there's kind of this, every row where I did the increases is really visible. It doesn't seem quite as visible on camera as it does in person, but it's very visible, and that's because of the differences between the Rambouillet and the Nocturne. It's just very different yarns trying to be married together and make a fabric. And I'm not sure that was my best life choice. So we'll see how that one turns out. I'm looking forward to how it turns out, but not 100% sure where I'm going with that one. Okay, so then, and this is the way I like to do this. So I put my swatch and my label information right here on my project bag. That really helps me stay organized when I'm working on my various projects. So when I bought this yarn, my intention was to knit the Throw Over by Andrea Mowry. And I bought this yarn, which I guess now this particular yarn, it was by EchoView Fiber Mill, and I guess they're shut down, which is too bad because this yarn is quite amazing. And I was just thinking the other day, like, oh, I want more of this yarn. I went back to my local yarn store to talk to them about it, and sure enough, that small mill is no longer, which is such a tragedy because this is really lovely yarn. It's 90% merino and 10% Rambouillet, and the colors are just really vibrant. Remainder of the yarn that I did for this sweater. Still working on this guy, but I ended up choosing not to do the Throw Over because I did the Throw Back cardigan, and I just decided I didn't want to do the Throw Over. I wanted something a little bit different. So I decided to do the Colourwaves Raglan by Liv Ulven. It's from her company called Woodlands Knits. It's a really neat pattern. When you look at the patterns on Ravelry, there's a lot of very earth tones, so this is a very unusual set of color choices for that particular pattern. But sometimes I just need some color in my life, and this just seemed really fun to me, and I was looking for something really fun. I have really enjoyed the way this pattern is written. I don't think it's super difficult. I did try something different with the collar, and I'm not sure that it's turning out great. I tried to do some double knitting at the base, and it just looks a little wonky, but I am going to wait and block it and see how it looks, and then if it's not great, I may have to take the collar out and redo the collar. But I've divided for the body, and we're just knitting in the round now down to where I see this going. I definitely want this not cropped. I wear a lot of my knits at the barn, riding, training, and teaching lessons. The reason for that is simply because I spend a lot of my time in the inland Northwest outside and in cooler weather, and wool is just superior for keeping you warm. Yeah, it means that I have to hand wash knits, and it means that my knits get dirty, but who cares when they're keeping me regulated so well. I don't really have any other clothing items that work as well for me as wool in my outdoor instructional life. And so I just find wool to be the greatest thing ever. So my plan is to wear this outside, probably with breeches, which are English riding pants. And so I do want it to look nice with that particular type of outfits. Got the sleeves to go, but all my color work is actually done on this. So after the holiday and Advent knitting season, I just did a video on that. If you want to see that video, make sure that you follow the link here and go and watch that video. But when I'm done with my Advent and gift knitting season, I will get back to these knits. They're very addictive for me. I very much want to work on these because all the mindfulness parts of those is pretty much over, and now it's just a matter of kind of going around and just making sure I stick with the pattern. And so I am anxious to get those in my wardrobe, anxious to be done with those. But I plan on getting my gift knitting and my Advent knitting done first. So my next whip is the September Slipover by Petite Knit. I did look at lots and lots of Slipover patterns when I was trying to select one. I wear a lot of vests in my barn riding life because they're layering pieces. I don't have a lot of slipovers, knitted slipovers in my wardrobe, and I'm wishing that I had about 27 of them, and I really don't have any. Most of them, mine are zip up puff type vests at this point. I actually do have a raincoat, like a mid-season raincoat in particular that I'm wanting a slip over for, and that is what this is for. So I ended up choosing the September slipover because of this very formal structure along the neckline. I have not picked up and put the neckline on yet. This is just part of the increases for the front panel. I have done the back panel, and I've done the front panel, and I've done the increases on one side. I still have increases to go on the front. I finished them on the back, but not the front, before I can join in the round. I am a little bit, this was my first adventure into brioche stitch. I'm very happy with the fabric. This fabric is super light. I am using this really lovely mohair. It's 72% kid mohair, 28% mulberry silk, and that comes with 230 yards in 25 grams. This is kind of a smoky black. It's coming out maybe a bit more brown on the camera, at least from what I can see here, but it's kind of a light black, maybe a charcoal color. And then I'm mixing it with this tin Peer Gynt from Sandnes Garn, I believe makes this, right? Yeah, Sandnes Garn. And this is a tweedy brown color, so it's got a lot of tweed in it. And the fabric is very, very light. The whole thing weighs like nothing. And it's going to be very stretchy and very comfortable. Yeah, I'm loving the fabric. And this is going to give me exactly the look and the kind of formal styling and the feel and the function that I'm looking for in my first slipover, especially to go with that trench coat vest that I'm looking particularly to have this for in my wardrobe. So I am a little bit nervous about joining in the round because I've seen a lot of vlogs and podcasts where other people have stressed about going to do the brioche in the round. I have found the brioche to be pretty meditative. I really like the stitch. It's a little bit hard on my hands. I do a little bit more of a twist motion when I do it than I do in my normal knitting, so I am finding it a little bit fatiguing, but I do just like the stitch. It is a pain to fix if you make a mistake. I will say for me, the only way I've been able to correctly fix a mistake is to just back up. So I try to find those mistakes early because it's hard to back up a lot of rows. And you can't, I can't anyway, just like pull the needles out and rip back and then put the needles back in, because the brioche stitch makes it really hard to see, especially with the mohair in there, like where to pick up your stitches. So you have to back up like one stitch at a time. So yeah, making a mistake is intimidating for sure. But I'm not finding the brioche stitch as complicated as I thought it would be. So I'm hoping that once I go into the round and I'm starting to do the purl portion of this brioche, that it will go okay. I will let you know how that goes in the future. So yeah, we'll see. Meanwhile, my daughter, who I mentioned earlier, went to Scotland to elope. I sent her some funds, and she went to a yarn shop there in Edinburgh to pick up some very British and Scottish style woolly wool yarns. She ended up, I think, getting both the yarns are Scottish yarns, which is great. That's what I was hoping for. So I got a sweater's quantity of this color from the Croft, this really tweedy blue, yellow flecks in the creamy base. This is a DK weight, and this is 100% Shetland wool. And yeah, you can tell that it's quite sheepy, but I think this will make a really great sweater to wear with jeans or jean breeches or any of that sort of barn attire. Looking forward to figuring out what I want to do with that in the near future. And then she did not, this was a surprise. She might have even paid for this as just a gift, but she got me 2 of these darker and 1 of these lighters of this Kinross 4-ply. And I'm not sure yet what I'm going to do with them. These are some of her favorite colors. She might be hinting at something here. Yeah, we'll see what is going to transpire with that. So yeah, basically that's what I have on my needles right now, and what I'm hoping to work my way through in the next month or so. I do have quite a bit of gift knitting, and I do have quite a bit of advent knitting that I'm working on right now. So I don't know that I'll get back to those super fast, but they are high on my priority because I really want to be wearing them. And that's pretty much what I've got going on. So maybe I'll just end this by sharing a little bit of something about me as a person. I would love to get to know you guys a bit better, and I would love for you to know me a little bit better. I spent over 20 years in the high school classroom, and I've decided a few years ago that I would turn my part-time horseback riding instructor business into my full-time business. And of course, always along the way with me has been my knitting, and I just don't see an end in sight to that. In fact, it just becomes more and more of a severe part of my life as the years go on. And so I'm just happy to be sharing this with the knitting community, since I don't have a lot of knitting community in my personal life. And yeah, so that's just a little bit about me. And if you are interested in being a part of my knitting community, I would love for you to like and subscribe so that we can get to know each other a little bit better. And I hope to continue doing these throughout 2026, and we'll see where all that leads. Thanks for joining me, and have a great knitting holiday season. So I'm hopping back on here because I forgot to say that I started a new Instagram account called clicketyclack.hh. That's also my Gmail and my Instagram handle. And I've started a new one because I wanted a place where I could focus mostly on my knitting and maybe not so much on some of my other life things that are going on. I haven't been posting much in my personal Instagram anyway, mainly because I'm like, well, the only thing I ever want to post is knitting related. So yes, I've started a new Instagram. If you would go and find me there and follow me there, that's probably, at least right now, one of the easiest places to reach me. If you would like to send me a message, you may do so there. Obviously, I've also recently put together the clicketyclack.hh Gmail, which you can email me there as well. And I'm not as great with email, so we'll see how that goes. But of course, I would love it if you would like and subscribe to this video. If you would like to see me in the future, that would be really fabulous if you would do that. But do check out my Instagram account if you want to see what I'm up to in my knitting. Thank you.